This is the Eternal Record Bible, dictated by Yeshua HaMashiac, transcribed by Heaven's 12th General. First Book of Maccabees, Lost Book, Chapter 4. Then took Georgius 5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews, and smite them suddenly, and the men of the fortress were his guides. Now when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, he and the valiant men with him, that he might smite the king's army which was at Emmaus, while as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp. In the mean season came Georgius by night into the camp of Judas, and when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains, for he said, "These fellows flee from us." But as soon as it was day, Judas showed himself in the plain with 3,000 men, who nevertheless had neither armor nor swords to their minds. And they saw the camp of the heathen, that it was strong and well harnessed, and compassed round about with horsemen, and these were expert in war. Then said Judas to the men who were with him, "Fear not their multitude, neither be afraid of their assault. Remember how our fathers were delivered in the Red Sea, when Pharaoh pursued them with an army. Now, therefore, let us cry unto heaven, if perhaps the Lord will have mercy upon us, and remember the covenant of our fathers, and destroy this host before our face this day, that so all the heathen may know that there is one who delivers and saves Israel." Then the strangers lifted up their eyes and saw them coming over against them. Wherefore they went out of the camp to battle, but those who were with Judas sounded their trumpets. So they joined battle, and the heathen, being discomfited, fled into the plain. But all the hindmost of them fell by the sword, and they pursued them unto Gazara, and unto the plain of Idumea, and Azotus, and Jamnia, so that there were slain of them about 3,000 men. This done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them, and said to the people, "Be not greedy of the spoil, inasmuch as there is a battle before us. And Georgius and his host are here by us in the mountain, but stand you now against your enemies and overcome them, and after this you may boldly take the spoils." As Judas was yet speaking these words, there appeared a part of them looking out of the mountain, who, when they perceived that the Jews had put their host to flight, and were burning the tents, for the smoke that was seen declared what was done, when therefore they perceived these things, they were sore afraid, and seeing also the host of Judas in the plain ready to fight, they fled every one into the land of strangers. Then Judas returned to spoil the tents, where they got much gold and silver and blue silk and purple of the sea and great riches. After this they went home and sang a song of thanksgiving and praised the Lord in heaven, because he is good, because his mercy endures forever. Thus Israel had a great deliverance that day. Now all the strangers who had escaped came and told Lysias what had happened, who, when he heard thereof, was confounded and discouraged, because neither such things as he would were done unto Israel, nor such things as the king commanded him were come to pass. The next year, therefore, following, Lysias gathered together 70,000 choice men afoot, and 5,000 horsemen, that he might subdue them. So they came into Idumea, and pitched their tents at Bethsura, and Judas met them with 10,000 men. And when he saw that mighty army, he prayed and said, "Blessed are you, O Savior of Israel, who did quell the violence of the mighty man by the hand of your servant David, and gave the host of strangers into the hands of Jonathan, the son of Saul, and his armor-bearer. Shut up this army in the hand of your people Israel, and let them be confounded in their power and horsemen. Make them to be of no courage, and cause the boldness of their strength to fall away, and let them quake at their destruction. Cast them down with the sword of those who love you, and let all those who know your name praise you with thanksgiving." So they joined battle, and there were slain of the host of Lysias about 5,000 men. Even before them were they slain. Now, when Lysias saw his army put to flight, and the manliness of Judas's soldiers, and how they were ready either to live or die valiantly, he went into Antioch, and gathered together a company of strangers. And having made his army greater than it was, he purposed to come again into Judea. Then said Judas and his brethren, "Behold, our enemies are discomfited, Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary." Upon this, all the host assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts as in a forest, or in one of the mountains, yes, and the priests' chambers pulled down, they tore their clothes, and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those who were in the fortress, until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary, and bore out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when they had consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profaned, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it. Wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountains of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hallowed the courts. They also made new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick, and the altar of burnt offerings, and of incense, and the table. And upon the altar they burned incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table, and spread out the veils, and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now, on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up early in the morning, and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that it was dedicated with songs, and citherns, and harps, and cymbals. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days, and offered burnt offerings with gladness, and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold, and with shields, and the gates, and the chambers they renewed, and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there very great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren, with the whole congregation of Israel, ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year, by the space of 8 days, from the 25th day of the month of Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At that time also they built up Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done before. And they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. Chapter 5. Now, when the nations round about heard that the altar was built, and the sanctuary renewed as before, it displeased them very much. Wherefore they thought to destroy the generation of Jacob that was among them, and thereupon they began to slay and destroy the people. Then Judas fought against the children of Esau in Idumea at Arabatim, because they besieged Israel, and he gave them a great overthrow, and abated their courage, and took their spoils. And he also remembered the injury of the children of Baan, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, in that they lay in wait for them in the ways. He shut them up, therefore, in the towers, and encamped against them, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire, and all who were therein. Afterward he passed over to the children of Ammon, where he found a mighty power and much people with Timotheus their captain. So he fought many battles with them, till at length they were discomfited before him, and he smote them. And when he had taken Jazer, with the towns belonging thereto, he returned into Judea. Then the heathen that were at Gilead assembled themselves together against the Israelites that were in their quarters, to destroy them, but they fled to the fortress of Dathema, and sent letters unto Judas and his brethren, saying, The heathen that are round about us are assembled together against us to destroy us, and they are preparing to come and take the fortress where we are fled, and Timotheus is captain of their host. Now therefore come and deliver us from their hands, for many of us are slain. Yes, all our brethren that were in the place of Toby are put to death, and their wives and their children also they have carried away captives, and borne away their stuff, and they have destroyed there about 1,000 men. While these letters were yet reading, behold, there came other messengers from Galilee with their clothes rent, who reported on this wise, and said, They of Ptolemais, and of Tyre, and of Sidon, and all Galilee of the Gentiles are assembled together against us to consume us. Now, when Judas and the people heard these words, there assembled a great congregation together to consult what should they do for their brethren that were in trouble, and assaulted of them. Then said Judas unto Simon his brother, Choose you out men, and go and deliver your brethren that are in Galilee, for I and Jonathan my brother will go into the country of Gilead. So he left Joseph, the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captains of the people, with the remnant of the host in Judea to keep it, unto whom he gave commandment, saying, Take charge of this people, and see that you make not war against the heathen until the time that we return. Now Simon chose 3,000 men, and went into Galilee, and fought many battles with the heathen, so that they were discomfited by him. And he pursued them unto the gate of Ptolemais, and there fell of the heathen about 3,000 men, and he took their spoils. And those that were in Galilee and in Arbatus, with their wives and their children, and all that they had, took he away with him, and brought them into Judea with great joy. Judas Maccabees also and his brother Jonathan went over Jordan, and traveled 3 days' journey in the wilderness. There they met with the Nabbatites, who came unto them in a peaceable manner, and told them all that befell their brethren in the land of Gilead, and how that many of them were shut up in Bosora and Besor, and Alama and Caspar, and Maked, and Carnaim, and all these cities being strong and great, and that they were shut up in the rest of the cities of the country of Gilead, and that against tomorrow they had appointed to bring their host against the forts, and to take them, and to destroy them all in one day. Hereupon Judas and his host turned suddenly by the way of the wilderness unto Besora, and when he had won the city, he slew all the males with the edge of the sword, and took all their spoils, and burned the city with fire. From whence he removed by night, and went till he came to the fortress. And when the morning came, they lifted up their eyes, and behold, there was much people, which could not be numbered, bearing ladders and other engines to take the fortress, and assaulting them. When Judas therefore saw that the battle was begun, and that the cry of the city went up to heaven with trumpets and a great sound, he said unto the men of his host, Fight this day for your brethren. So he went forth behind them in 3 companies, who sounded their trumpets and cried with prayer. Then the host of Timotheus, knowing that it was Maccabees, fled from him, wherefore he smote them with a great slaughter, so that there were killed of them that day about 8,000 men. Thus Judas turned aside to Masphah, and after he had assaulted it, he took and slew all the males therein, and received the spoils thereof, and burned it with fire. From thence he took Casphon, Maked, Bosor, and the other cities of the country of Gilead. After these things gathered Timotheus another host, and camped against Raphon beyond the brook. So Judas sent men to spy the host, who brought him word, saying, All the heathen that are round about us are assembled unto them, even a very great host. He has also hired the Arabians to help them, and they have pitched their tents beyond the brook, ready to come against you in battle. So Judas went to meet them. And when the morning came, they lifted up their eyes, and behold, there was much people, which could not be numbered, bearing ladders and other engines to take the fortress, and assaulting them. When Judas therefore saw that the battle was begun, and that the cry of the city went up to heaven, with trumpets and a great sound, he said unto the men of his host, Fight this day for your brethren. So he went therefore behind them in 3 companies, who sounded their trumpets and cried with prayer. Then the host of Timotheus, knowing that it was Maccabees, fled from him, wherefore he smote them with a great slaughter, so that there were killed of them that day about 8,000 men. Thus Judas turned aside to Masphah, and after he had assaulted it, he took and slew all the males therein, and received the spoils thereof, and burned it with fire. From thence he went and took Casphon, Maked, Bosor, and the other cities of the country of Gilead. After these things gathered Timotheus another host, and camped against Raphon beyond the brook. So Judas sent men to spy the host, who brought him word, saying, All the heathen that are round about us are assembled unto them, even a very great host. He has also hired the Arabians to help them, and they have pitched their tents beyond the brook, ready to come against you in battle. So Judas went to meet them. Then Judas and his host laid siege unto it, and fought valiantly a long season, and they made engines of war. But the people of the city withstood them with great force, and they had store of engines and darts, but at the last their strength was spent. So Judas took the city, and slew all the males with the edge of the sword, and destroyed it utterly, and took the spoils thereof, and passed through the city over those that were slain. After this they passed over Jordan into the great plain before Bethshan. And Judas gathered together those who came behind, and exhorted the people all the way till they came into the land of Judah. So they went up to Mount Zion with joy and gladness, where they offered burnt offerings, because not one of them were slain until they had returned in peace. Now what time as Judas and Jonathan were in the land of Gilead, and Simon his brother in Galilee before Ptolemais, Joseph the son of Zacharias and Azarias, captain of the garrisons, heard of the valiant acts and warlike deeds which they had done. Wherefore they said, Let us also get us a name, and go fight against the heathen that are round about us. So when they had given charge unto the garrison that was with them, they went toward Jamnia. Then Georgius and his men came out of the city to fight against them. And so it was that Joseph and his Azarias were put to flight, and pursued unto the borders of Judea. And there were slain that day of the people of Israel about 2,000 men. Thus was there a great overthrow among the children of Israel, because they were not obedient unto Judas and his brethren, but thought to do some valiant act. Moreover, these men came not of the seed of those by whose hand deliverance was given unto Israel. Howbeit the man Judas and his brethren were greatly renowned in the sight of all Israel, and of all the heathen, wherever their name was heard, insomuch as the people assembled unto them with joyful acclamations. Afterward went Judas forth with his brethren, and fought against the children of Esau in the land toward the south, where he smote Hebron and the towns thereof, and he pulled down the fortifications of it, and burned the towers thereof round about. From thence he removed to go into the land of the Philistines, and passed through Samaria. At that time certain priests, desirous to show their valor, were slain in battle, for they went out unadvisedly. So Judas turned to Azotus in the land of the Philistines, and when he had pulled down their altars and burned the carved images of their gods with fire, and spoiled the cities, he returned into the land of Judea. Moreover, Judas and his brethren went forth, and fought against the children of Esau in the land toward the south. And he smote Hebron and the villages thereof, pulled down the fortifications of it, and burned the towers therefore round about. He removed also into the country of the Philistines, and passed through Samaria. At that time certain priests, desirous to show their valor, were slain in battle, for they went out unadvisedly. So Judas turned to Azotus in the land of the Philistines, and when he had pulled down their altars, and burned the carved images of their gods with fire, and spoiled the cities, he returned into the land of Judea. Chapter 6. About that time, King Antiochus, traveling through the high countries, heard say that Elamaeus in the country of Persia was a city greatly renowned for riches, silver, and gold, and that there was in it a very rich temple, wherein were coverings of gold and breastplates and shields, which Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian king, who reigned first among the Grecians, had left there. Wherefore he came and sought to take the city and spoil it, but he was not able, because they of the city, having had warning, rose up against him in battle. So he fled and departed from thence with great heaviness, and returned to Babylon. Moreover, there came one who brought him tidings into Persia, that the armies which went against the land of Judea were put to flight, and that Lysias, who went forth first with a great power, was driven away of the Jews, and that they were made strong by the armor and power and store of spoils, which they had gotten of the armies whom they had destroyed. Also that they had pulled down the abomination which he had set up upon the altar in Jerusalem, and that they had compassed about the sanctuary with high walls as before, and his city Bethsura. Now when the king heard these words, he was astonished and sore moved. Whereupon he laid him down upon his bed and fell sick for grief, because it had not befallen him as he looked for. And there he continued many days, for his grief was ever more and more. and he made account that he should die. Wherefore he called for all his friends and said unto them, The sleep is gone from my eyes, and my heart fails for very care. And I said in my heart, Into what tribulation am I come? And how great a flood of misery is it wherein now I am? For I was bountiful and beloved in my power. But now I remember the evils that I did at Jerusalem, and that I took all the vessels of gold and silver that were therein, and sent to destroy the inhabitants of Judea without a cause. I perceive, therefore, that for this cause these troubles are come upon me. And behold, I perish through great grief in a strange land. Then he called for Philip, one of his friends, who he made ruler over all his realm, and gave him the crown, and his robe, and his signet, to the end he should bring up his son Antiochus, and nourish him up for the kingdom. So King Antiochus died there in the 149th year. Now when Lysias knew that the king was dead, he set up Antiochus his son, whom he had brought up being young, to reign in his stead. And his name was called Eupator. About this time, they that were in the tower shut up the Israelites round about the sanctuary, and sought always their hurt and the strengthening of the heathen. Wherefore Judas, purposing to destroy them, called all the family together to besiege them. And they came together and besieged them in the 150th year. And he made mounts for shots against them and other engines. But at that time certain of them that besieged were shut up, and some that were not besieged fell to them, and they made a great supply unto them. Then Lysias went up to Bethsura and fought against it a long season, and gave it up. For they had no victuals there, because it was the 7th year, and they in Judea that were delivered from the Gentiles had eaten up the residue of the store. There was but a small store left in the sanctuary, because famine had prevailed so sore upon them that they were scattered, every man to his own place. At that time Lysias heard say that Philip, whom Antiochus the king, while he lived, had appointed to bring up his son Antiochus that he might be king, was returned out of Persia and Media, and the host that went with him, and that he sought to take unto him the ruling of affairs. Wherefore he went in all haste, and said to the king and the captains of the host and the company, We decay daily, and our victuals are but small. But the place we lay siege unto is strong, and the affairs of the kingdom lie upon us. Therefore, let us be friends with these men, and make peace with them and with all their nation, and covenant with them, that they will live after their laws as they did before. For they are therefore displeased, and have done all these things, because we abolished their laws. So the king and the princes were content. Wherefore he sent unto them to make peace, and they accepted thereof. Also the king and the princes made an oath unto them, whereupon they went out of the stronghold. Then the king entered into Mount Zion, but when he saw the strength of the place, he broke his oath that he had made, and gave commandment to pull down the wall round about. Afterward he departed in all haste and returned unto Antioch, where he found Philip master of the city. So he fought against him and took the city by force. Thus was the sanctuary delivered for a season, but the yoke of the heathen was not fully taken away, for many of them still remained in the stronghold to vex Israel. Yet Judas and his brethren strengthened Israel, and the people grew mighty, for the hand of the Lord was with them. But the enemies of Israel conspired continually, and the kings of the nations sought by deceit and by force to wear them down. And there arose much affliction and trial in those days. Yet the people remembered the covenant, and those who were zealous for the law gave their lives rather than forsake it. Chapter 7. In the 151st year, Demetrius, the son of Seleucus, departed from Rome, and came up with a few men unto a city of the seacoast, and reigned there. And as he entered into the palace of his ancestors, so it was that the host seized upon Antiochus and Lysias to bring them unto him. Wherefore, when he knew it, he said, Let me not see their faces. So the host slew them. Thus Demetrius reigned in his stead. Then came unto him all the wicked and ungodly men of Israel, having Alcimus, who was desirous to be high priest, to head them. And they accused the people to the king, saying, Judas and his brethren have slain all your friends, and driven us out of our own land. Now, therefore, send some man whom you trust, and let him go, and see what havoc he has made among us and in the king's land, and let him punish them with all those that aid them. Then the king chose Maccabees, a friend of the king, who ruled beyond the flood and was a great man in the kingdom and faithful to the king. And with him he sent that wicked Alcimus, whom he had made high priest, and commanded that he should take vengeance of the children of Israel. So they departed and came with a great power into the land of Judea, and sent messengers to Judas and his brethren with peaceable words deceitfully. But they gave no heed to their words, for they saw that they were come with a great power. Then did there assemble unto Alcimus and Maccabees a company of scribes to require justice. Now the Assyrians were the first among the children of Israel that sought peace of them, for they said, One that is a priest of the seed of Aaron is come with this army, and he will do us no wrong. So he spoke peaceable words unto them, and swore unto them, saying, We will procure no hurt neither to you nor your friends. Whereupon they believed him. Howbeit he took of them 80 men, and slew them in one day, according to the words which he wrote. The flesh of your saints have they cast out, and their blood have they shed round about Jerusalem, and there was none to bury them. Wherefore the fear and dread of them fell upon all the people, who said, There is neither truth nor righteousness in them, for they have broken the covenant and oath that they made. After this removed Maccabees from Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Bezeth, where he sent and took many of the men that had forsaken him, and certain of the people also. And when he had slain them, he cast them into the great pit. But Maccabees left Alcimus in charge of the people, and he went back to the king, and Alcimus strove for the high priesthood. And unto him restored all such as troubled the people, who after they had gotten the land of Judah into their power did much hurt in Israel. Now when Judas saw all the mischief that Alcimus and his company had done among the Israelites, even among the heathen, he went out into all the coasts of Judea round about, and took vengeance of them that had revolted from him, so that they dared no more go forth into the country. On the other side, when Alcimus saw that Judas and his company had gotten the upper hand, and knew that he was not able to abide their force, he went again to the king, and said all the worst of them that he could. Then the king sent Nicanor, one of his honorable princes, a man that bore deadly hate unto Israel, with commandment to destroy the people. So Nicanor came to Jerusalem with a great force, and sent unto Judas and his brethren deceitfully with friendly words, saying, Let there be no battle between me and you. I will come with a few men, that I may see you in peace. He came therefore to Judas, and they saluted one another peaceably. Howbeit the enemies were prepared to take Judas by subtlety. Nevertheless, the thing was known to Judas, to wit, that he came unto him with deceit. Wherefore he made him afraid, and would see his face no more. Nicanor also, when he saw that his counsel was discovered, went out to fight against Judas beside Capharsalama, where there were slain of Nicanor's side about 500 men, and the rest fled into the city of David. After this went Nicanor up to Mount Zion, and there came out of the sanctuary certain of the priests and certain of the elders of the people to salute him peaceably, and to show him the burnt sacrifice that was offered for the king. But he mocked them and laughed at them, and abused them shamefully, and spoke proudly, and swore in his wrath, saying, Unless Judas and his host be now delivered into my hands, if I ever come again safety, I will burn up this house. And with that he went out in a great rage. Then the priest entered in and stood before the altar in the temple, weeping and saying, You, O Lord, did choose this house to be called by your name, and to be a house of prayer and supplication for your people. Be avenged of this man and his host, and let them fall by the sword. Remember their blasphemies, and suffer them not to continue any longer. So Nicanor went out of Jerusalem, and pitched his tents in Bethoron, where an host out of Syria met him. But Judas pitched in Adasa with 3,000 men, and there he prayed, saying, O Lord, when those who were sent by the king of the Assyrians blasphemed, your angel went out and smote 185,000 of them. Even so destroy you this host before us this day, that the rest may know that he has spoken blasphemously against your sanctuary, and judge you him according to his wickedness. So the 13th day of the month Adar, the host joined battle, but Nicanor's host was discomfited, and he himself was first slain in the battle. Now when his army saw that Nicanor was slain, they cast away their weapons and fled. Then they pursued after them a day's journey, from Adassa unto Gazara, sounding an alarm after them with their trumpets. Whereupon they came forth out of all the towns of Judea round about, and closed them in, so that they, turning back upon them that pursued after them, were all slain with the sword, and there was not one of them left. Afterwards the Jews took the spoils and the prey, and smote off Nicanor's head, and his right hand, which he stretched out so proudly, and brought them away, and hanged them up toward Jerusalem. For this cause the people rejoiced greatly, and they kept that day a day of great gladness. Moreover, they ordained to keep yearly this day, being the 13th of Adar. Thus the land of Judah had rest a little while.